if you're listening to this podcast free to air, there is an extended version of it, which is on our IFS Patreon, patreon.com/topflighttimemachine. Bit of bonus content at the end, but there's plenty to listen to, otherwise free to air, and hope you enjoy it.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, this is it!
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Bow, bow, bow!
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney, so what?
Welcome along. It's the Monday morning episode, and it's on a Monday morning for a change. We couldn't do it yesterday evening because there just wasn't time in between the two football matches that were on, and we needed to watch them both. So There you go. We'll get into our lukewarm analysis of the England game shortly. But before we go any further, this is the beginning of the week, and if you listen to this free to air, you will not be getting, unfortunately, your regular Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday episodes that have come from the IFS Patreon archive, because we're keeping this stuff in the Patreon from now on. We talked about it on Friday's episode, so just thought we should just do a little reminder. But one thing we didn't mention when we were talking about it on Friday, Sam, is that when you sign up for the IFS on patreon.com/topflighttimemachine, you can either get your episodes and your content, because there's like video content as well sometimes, in the Patreon app, but you get an RSS code which is unique to you for your podcasts, and you can put that very easily into your Apple podcast player, into Spotify if you use Spotify, into most of the podcast players. So it's not a hard thing to do to get set up with and to continue enjoying as much of this podcast as you can. So that was a bit of housekeeping there. And thanks to those who have signed up. We've had lots and lots of new sign-ups.
It's been nice, hasn't it, to see so many people still behind us, enjoying the pod. People were calling us jaded 3-4 years ago. But not, over the weekend we have had a lot of lovely messages, and grateful for all of them, because they actually, we do read them all, and put a little spring in my step, Andy. I don't know about you, but I've had a small spring in my step as a result of it. Yeah,
I thought there'd be a bit of dissent. There's hardly been any. People are kind of like, we're right behind you, we're supporting you, and fuck Rory Stewart.
A lot of people. A lot of it is a bit like the election. Like a lot of people saying, well, it's not so much a vote for Labour, but a vote against the Tories. And I wonder whether or not it's not so much like support for Top Flight Time Machine, but support for ending the reign of Rory Stewart as the unlikely pod king of United Kingdom.
Who we believe is dragging in 70 grand a month.
That's what we've heard. It's what we've heard.
It's politics.
There's been a lot of articles recently about the amount of dough that these podcasts are raking in, because during the Euros, Lineker, who's also the capo, the tutti capo of the rest is politics. He's basically Rory Stewart's boss. Weird. And he also has his own. He also has his own podcast. The rest is football, and that apparently, ever since he said England was shit, it's like the listenership figures during the Euros have shot through the roof. And similarly, the overlap, which actually does seem really good. I haven't given that a proper listen yet, but the clips that come out of it, mainly thanks to the involvement of Roy Keane and occasionally Wayne Rooney. To be fair, that does look like our cup of tea, a podcast of interest. But we shouldn't promote it too much, because apparently these pods have got so big during the Euros. They're basically taking every penny of ad revenue in the country right now, which is why we, humble independent podcasters like Andy and I, have to urge you to subscribe, because the ad revenue is basically Rory Stewart and Gary Neville. And Gary Neville's already fucking minted beyond belief anyway, isn't he?
He is, yeah. It's ridiculous. But there you go. That's what happens. But I was going to say as well, if you want to continue with the service that you've enjoyed on the free-to-air, freeloading, let's call it, the tier that you want on Patreon is the IFS Plus, and that means you'll get exactly what you've been getting so far. There we are. Thought I'd bring that up. Gary Neville, though, did you see the clip of Gary Neville celebrating Jude Bellingham's.
Oh yeah, he went mental,
equaliser.
didn't he?
He starts screeching like a wounded animal.
Yeah, there's something up with that lad. I'm worried about him.
I know. You very early on in this podcast described him as a busy cunt.
He's he's Britain's busiest cunt. Yeah,
Britain's busy. But there was a bit of a clip that I saw at the weekend where Roy Keane was complaining to Gary Neville, and he says he just needs to calm the fuck down.
Yeah, he calls him out on it. He's like, you're too fucking busy, and you need to just rest. And the amount, right early on this podcast, we also identified Roy Keane as a hero. And like, I feel like he's aligning closer and closer. We're aligning to him, he's aligning to us. I don't know, but he gave a fantastic support of the Just Rest lifestyle while simultaneously attacking the high performance, seize the day attitudes of, attack the day, isn't it? Attitudes of Gary Neville.
Yeah. Even Jill Scott was having a go at him, saying like, I ask all you to come for coffee and then you never reply, Gary. But I mean, maybe that's somebody else.
And she said only Roy is always there and always on time.
Always on time.
Yeah.
Always on time.
What a guy. What a good guy.
Yeah, because all of the things on that clip where people were like saying, "Oh, look at Roy Keane's reaction here when England score," and he's just stood there. Well, I mean, what else is he going to do?
He's fucking Irish. Like,
he's just stood there.
He was probably gutted, and like people sometimes don't understand that. It's like, I feel bad for Roy Keane that he has to commentate or like comment on England in a way that is even vaguely positive, because I'm sure why would the Irish be supporting us? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It must be hard for him.
I think he strikes the balance well, because he doesn't stick the boot in, but he is very honest. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I think ITV are winning in terms of their coverage, because I just think I was watching my brother and I said, oh, it's great, isn't it? Like, usually I'm not interested in any of the punditry around a game. I don't really watch it before or after or even at half-time much. I said, but actually, when it comes back to the studio and you've got Ian Wright, Gary Neville and Roy Keane, you actually think, oh, great, I really want to listen to this, because Gary Neville is a busy cunt and he can be annoying, but his punditry is great because he's very passionate and he is pretty insightful, and I don't always agree with him, but he's fucking got something. All three of them have got something to say, and it's usually different, Yeah.
BBC, Alan Shearer, not a fan. Not a fan. They've had Lampard as well.
Lineker just exudes smug now, like to the extent that even I, someone who for many years had been very open in the fact that I've been semi-stalking him because he's a local, and I saw us as being potential best friends. But now, I don't know, he's a bit too smug, he's a bit too pleased with himself. There was a clip the other day about a footballer. They were doing a little preview of of one of the games, and they were talking about one of the nations, how the footballers had got involved in a political situation. And when it cut back to studio, Lineker had to do his smug little, these footballers getting involved in politics. I don't know what that's all about. And then he gives that little knowing wink, like, you know what I'm talking about, don't you, viewers? Because you all know about me, because I'm Gary Lineker. And I think, I'll fucking turn it in, Lineker.
If I wanted to be Prime Minister, I could do it in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, he definitely couldn't. I do think he believes he could, yeah. So, I think ITV are winning, which usually isn't the case. But I think they're winning this time round, mate, in my opinion.
The England match itself, I didn't really pay loads of attention to it. I was multi-screening. I think I posted a picture on Twitter.
I saw you were watching the darts, weren't you? And just keeping half an eye on the football.
The World Cup of Darts, which England won, so it came home.
Yes.
As they say, I believe.
Was Littler playing for England or not?
He wasn't. He's not qualified for it because he hasn't been around long enough.
Oh.
Because it's over like ranking points over the last year or so. So he has just not been. He'll be there next year, I guess.
What's his name? Luke, the other Luke, the one
Luke
who beat
Humphries.
him. Was he in our team?
It was Luke Humphries and Michael Smith, who were basically the last two world champions.
Brilliant.
And they won it fairly comfortably. But it was good. But it's great because you'd get a team dynamic which you don't get in any other tournament in darts, where you've got them playing together with each other and they're like high-fiving each other and everything.
Is it like the Davis Cup in tennis, in a way? But
kind of like that.
But for working men.
For working men, yeah. Who is the Davis Cup named after?
They call it the Davis Cup for working men. It's the World Cup of darts.
The World Cup of darts, but yeah, it's really good because they play in national colours, and it's just a different vibe. And it's loads of fun. It's loads of fun, but it's over now.
Well,
till next year.
Certainly the football was not loads of fun. It wasn't even a bit of fun. I would say it was almost the most difficult game of football I've ever had to watch. It was, and you know, speaking as a West Ham fan, that's quite a statement. Do you know what I mean? Because I have watched some dog shit over the years, but that was so painful to watch.
It was just from glancing at it now and again, it was just so fucking laboured.
It was so
and just inept.
Yeah, and I resented the fact that it made me angry because I don't really want to care about England. I don't really want to care about football at all, as we've discussed. But like when I actually invested anger into it, I don't like to feel anger at all if I can help it. But sometimes you just do, and I found anger overtaking me because it was a bad performance. But it's the fact that Southgate, I thought, was almost being defiant, like he wanted to lose or something, like he wasn't making any changes. And it was like, I thought he's either had a breakdown or he's trying to cut off his nose to spite his face. It's really weird. And there were players, you know, who are supposed to be the top players, not least, you know, Keane and what's his name?
Kane, you mean?
Kane and
Kane?
No, Kane, Harry Kane, and the other lad, right? Bellingham.
Keen obsessed.
Right. And they were so poor. And I resent the fact that they've been complaining about people criticising them, because you just sort of think you're not playing schoolboy football where they go, oh, the dads need to stop shouting from the touchline because it's very stressful for the kids, and how can they ever expect to develop if they get sort of criticism? Yeah, that stuff's valid. But once you're England captain, right? You are the captain of England. You are at the very highest level. You have played countless times for England, right? This is the job. And if you play shit, right, and then people say you've played shit, that is just the way it goes. If you don't want people to... What's the alternative? That you play shit, which anyone objectively would say. I don't think there's anyone in the country or beyond who think that England have played anything other than shit in this tournament. Do you think, in the spirit of patriotism or support, that we should all kind of suspend our disbelief and all pretend to one another publicly that actually England have done really well? That's insane, and it's also babyish. It's just babyish for top pros to complain about being criticised for playing badly.
Is it because this generation of players have come up during the era of education where you have sports days and they don't necessarily have winners anymore, and everybody gets a medal at the end, and they say, you're all winners. Yeah. But maybe they've been babyfied.
Well, I know. I remember when my nephew was at primary school. We must be going back like 20 years here at least, and he was in a production of Grease, and I was interested in coming to see it. And I said, who's playing Danny Zuko? And he said, I am. And I was like, fucking hell, that's amazing. I was going mental about it. Yeah, I can't believe it. That's like the role that every lad dreams of. But then I said, are you doing this song? He went, no, my mate's doing that. And I said, but that's a Danny Zuko song. He said, yeah, I'm not the only Danny. There's 3 Dannys. It changes throughout the play. And that was the point. When he told me that, right, I'd been out of full-time education at that stage for a number of years. So I'd lost touch with the culture. And I turned to his dad and I went, is this true? And his dad went, yeah, they changed the lead roles in each act, right? And I said, it was at that point where I said, England will never, ever win a major trophy again.
You just said, England will fall.
England will fall. And I said, and I can tell you this now, if the Russians invaded tomorrow, we would welcome them with open arms. We would roll over and invite them to tickle our fucking tummies. That's the way this country's going, mark my words. And now this is where we are.
Jalapeño.
Players are bleating. They play shit. Then the journalists and the fans, you know, these
shit.
The fans, like some of the fans out there, I do, you know, like it is. I know it's a sort of a cliche and a bit more. It's like they have paid loads of money to go and follow England, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like they're turning up and booing for no reason. It's a shit spectacle, right? When England lose, but they try hard and lose unluckily, England fans will cheer them on. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they've just
they
played
pay a lot
badly.
Of money, travel all that way with an expectation of a 0-0 group match draw against Slovenia.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like a fucking, you know, there's a cost of living crisis, and these blokes have gone out and women, they've all gone out, and kids have gone out, and they've spent all this money, and I just think it's a bit rich, the likes of Jude Bellingham, who's becoming quite difficult to like, actually, because he's so arrogant and chippy. Do you know what I mean? And Harry Kane, and Gareth Southgate are complaining. Like, how dare you? How very dare you? It's like, this starts with you. It doesn't start the other way around. You can't... They try to imply the reason we're playing shit is because the fans aren't being kind, and if they cheered us more, then maybe we'd be able to play better. But unless we're being cheered, then we can't play well. It's like, well, you're professional fucking footballers, so I would hope that you didn't need a certain set of circumstances to win a fucking game against Slovenia.
It's like, what are they doing? Are they coming off after the group games and like going, wow, that was good. We did well there, lads. That was good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, you know,
surely
some of I've just looked on Twitter, and some of the fans say we weren't playing good. Why are they saying that? We tried our very hardest.
Surely they're sitting around going, fucking hell, we were stinking there.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, we're going to have to try better next time.
Yeah, and they're not. And every time I naively think, I mean, I didn't have high hopes for yesterday. I did think there was a chance we could be in an Iceland situation, right? But I also said just before kick-off, you know, England, even in the tournaments that we remember being quite good, like even when we got to the final in the last Euros, there were games where we were absolute shit, but we kind of got through them. Do you know what I mean? And that's true with all champions. When we watch those FIFA films during lockdown, you know, I was even watching the 1971 where Brazil, supposedly the greatest team of all time, but actually they stumbled through most of the rounds and they were getting a lot of criticism from their own fans and press. You know, but people forget that. They remember what happened in the end. And so I was sort of saying this to my brother and to my son before the game. I was going, you know, we stumble through these games, but actually you've got to build up your form. And maybe now we're in the knockout stage, maybe this will be it. And within 5 minutes, you just knew. You just know almost immediately after kickoff, don't you? You just know.
Yeah.
And if you watch Spain afterwards, it's really interesting to watch another game straight away. Because you've got England, the way England play fresh in your mind, so you can see
You've got it implanted in your memory, haven't you?
Yeah,
you're used to that speed and that tempo.
You can see the contrast, and it's like the shape of Spain is not particularly different, but it's just simply the way they move the ball is much quicker, and they just look, in very simple terms, they look better at football because they receive the ball and they pass it first time. So the ball is moving really quickly all the time. And the opposition players are fucking all over the place and don't have time to, like, they get confused, they get baffled, they get exhausted, and Spain were relentless. But England at no point speed their play up, do they?
No. But then, of course, what they did was they did make some changes towards the end. Ivan Toney came on, and then they switched to a tactic of get it in the mixer.
Yeah.
Which fucking worked twice, which is something that they haven't done. Because they've been trying to stroke the ball around and try and play their way through the lines and all this kind of bollocks.
Yeah.
But they just started lumping it, and it fucking paid off. The two goals were both fucking lumpy goals. A long throw in that was flicked on. Wasn't there a West Ham goal in the 1980s? It wasn't the FA Cup, was it? When Trevor Brookins scored, that was similar to that.
That was in the FA Cup final.
And then it was flicked on. It just really reminded me of.
It was a bit like that. But Brookins, it was in the cup final against Arsenal in 1980. But Brookins was more of a sort of a diving header.
Yeah,
he was sort of falling over.
Crossed that in, didn't he?
Yeah,
it wasn't that one. I think it might have been. I can't remember now, but you know, someone might remember. But just a throw in, flick it on.
Yeah.
Bellingham, to his credit, brilliant overhead kick.
Great, but that running off, saying who else and giving it the sort of chat thing with his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, people say the reason he's such a great player is that he's got this self-confidence and this self-belief. And all that saying who else and all the rest of it, that's part of what makes him special. And that may well be true, actually, because, look at Cristiano Ronaldo, look at Ibrahimovic. There are players who are like that, who are just so full of themselves that they have to be like that. That's part of,
Yeah.
And so maybe that's what we're seeing in Bellingham. And I don't mind arrogance in that sense, but I just think if you've obviously played badly, not just in that game, but in all the games, to give it back to give it back to your fans like that just seems a little bit out of order, I think.
England had just scored their third goal in 360 minutes of football at that point, and they were just a wafer's edge away from going out of the tournament. So to be given it the fucking big one,
exactly.
After that was
relief. What you should feel is the appropriate emotion is relief. We got away with that one. Let's regroup and understand what we need to do next time. Do you know what I mean? Not like in your face. You were seconds away from being knocked out against Slovakia. It was fucking embarrassing. It was embarrassing, but what are you going to do?
We've got France versus Belgium today. That'll be good.
That'll be great. And watching Spain versus Georgia was great as well. What a game. Like, both teams really going for it. Georgia were great, and until the end, when they succumbed in the end, because Spain are clearly the best team in the tournament we've seen so far. And
which means they probably won't win it.
They probably won't win it. Someone will nick it. Anything can happen. England, weirder teams in England have won the Euros, right? Like Greece and Denmark. So, it would be classic for England to just fucking stumble through and then win the final on penalties against Spain. But Spain are just a joy to watch. That 16-year-old lad, fucking hell. In fact, both their wingers. But that 16-year-old lad, who I don't know what his real name is, but I call him your mum. Because every time the commentator says his name, I think it sounds like he's saying your mum. But he's outstanding, isn't he? Absolutely incredible. 16, mate. Unbelievable.
I know. But Austria are the team that has taken my heart, and they're on tomorrow night against Turkey, which should be because Turkey are decent as well. This is the thing. This whole thing about raising it up to 24 teams. Everyone's like, there's too many games and all this, and there'll be too many bad teams that are just getting dumped out really early on. There's been some fucking great teams that you probably wouldn't have put in the 16.
No.
Like Austria and Slovakia and Slovenia.
And Georgia. Georgia, for me, they're like the team that everyone... They're what I call the Cameroon of this tournament. Unfortunately, they're out now, but there's always a team like that kind of surprise everyone and everyone takes them to their heart.
Yeah.
And like the way they played, that's what made it more embarrassing as well. The way that they were attacking Spain was just so way beyond anything that England's players would be capable of.
Yeah, it doesn't... Yeah, England they've got Switzerland next. Switzerland's a tough one. I think Switzerland's the next level. But again,
I watched Switzerland. Who did they play? They beat Italy. Italy were dreadful. They were
terrible.
They were as bad as England, I would say, maybe even worse. But Switzerland looked good, better than England, and I expect Switzerland to beat England unless England pull a rabbit out of the hat and suddenly either Southgate changes the team, which I very much doubt he will, or the players just decide they're going to play differently. Which doesn't look like they've got any intention of doing.
They might have to, because he hasn't got a left back now. If Trippier's not going to be fit for the next game.
Sure. And he's missing. He's also that. What's his name? Gueye, is it? Gueye, who plays. He's suspended.
He's suspended. So someone's going to have to come in.
We're down to the bare bones now, mate.
I think they said last night there's 9 players in the squad that haven't been anywhere near the ball or something. That might be more than that. I can't remember. I haven't heard half of them.
I got so wound up that I anger tweeted a couple of times, which is always a mistake. Nothing sweary or anything like that. But I just said, at one point I tweeted, Kane is finished and Southgate hasn't got the balls to face up to it, right? And it was like, this is when Harry Kane has missed a couple of sitters, can't control the ball, gives the ball away every time he gets it, like utter shit. Not like maybe shit from a certain perspective, just a dreadful performance, right? But
yeah,
you leave him on because he's Harry Kane, so if there's a chance, then you kind of think, well, better fall to him than anyone else, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Even though he'd missed some sitters. But, you know, in the heat of the moment, that's what I tweet. And what's great is you get a lot of people, I assume children, I hope children, because if it's adults, it's really embarrassing, just getting back to you and going, they're angry that you have said that Harry Kane is shit, right? And it's strange. So I'm just looking now this morning, someone's written, you're bang on. Anyone scoring 44 goals for Bayern in a season must be really shit. And then they've done a clown emoji, right? So that I'm a clown for expressing an opinion that they believe is wrong, right? And I suppose it's like, yeah, okay, I am a clown. I don't know. I just thought he was shit at that point. Actually, I do think he's shit. I don't like Harry Kane. I think he's boring. I've never liked him. He scores a lot of goals, but, you know, he's not exciting to watch, is he? Like Wayne Rooney or whatever. It's a hard player to get. It's a hard player to get excited about, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've been burned too many times on Twitter from tweeting while angry. So I at half time, I tweeted a photograph of my new garden statue that I bought the other day from the range, which is it's a gorilla riding a motorbike.
yeah, I mean that was that I saw that and it really cheered me up. That's exactly the sort of thing.
That was the idea. I just said in an attempt to lift spirits. Here's
Yeah,
my son
well, I
gorilla
think that's what the
motorbike
nation.
statue.
That's what the nation needs more of. In fact, if I was Keir Starmer, I would tweet that on. If he wins on Thursday, I would.
Everyone's getting one of these.
Yeah, yeah. I think you should just tweet a picture of it. Don't you think?
Yeah, possibly. But it did the trick. It got 193 likes. And
Wow.
lots of people saying, that's done the trick. Thanks. It's really turned things around.
Do you know what?
Now I can see hope again.
Was it? What did we put you up for? I know you would have been too humble to do it for yourself, but there's a ministerial position that the Tories invented in some sort of flailing bid to distract us from the fact they'd set the whole fucking country on fire, right? Is it the Minister for Common Sense? I'm just thinking, is there a role for you to be
about something like that? Yeah.
Minister for Good Vibes or something like that?
Something
a
like
little
that,
role
yeah.
in the government. They'd have to make you a peer because you're not going to get elected at this late stage. But they could give you a place in the Lords, and you could just be in charge of thinking of nice little ideas like that might lift our spirits in times of need.
Because yes, I am a very, very positive-minded kind of guy. So yeah, that would work.
And you've got loads of good images like that. I'm sure that's not the only one that you've got up your sleeve.
I could go out and source some more garden statues.
Yeah, imagine that.
So
you could tour the garden centres of the UK and put it on expenses.
Yeah, fucking hell, that's the dream. Get a camper van or
idea,
something.
innit?
Anything else going on then? In any other business? Because we've covered football.
Well, I got a couple of
Rory
things. I mean,
Stewart.
one is I'm working on an article. I'll just mention this quickly. I'm working on an article, the headline of which is "We Don't Have Sex Anymore." But it's not about me and my marriage. But the newspaper have said, we want you to interview couples who are married but no longer have sex. So I said, yeah,
Right.
I'll do it. That's interesting. I've written stories about relationships a lot in the past. But I've had to try and find case studies. And finding case studies when you do these kinds of articles is always the hardest thing. But finding case studies...
Do you go up to people in the park and ask them?
There's various ways and means I've used over the years. And I've had quite a good track record. But this one is difficult. I think I've found a geezer who's willing to sort of say... chat to me later today and say, yeah, I'm not having it off with my wife. Here's why. This is what's going on. Right? Fine. I've yet to convince a woman. It's hard because it might sound like I'm up to something.
Or not. As the case may be.
Excuse me, missus. Sorry to interrupt. I was just wondering how your sex life was with your husband. Are you still at it, or has that all gone for a burn?
You get it quite often?
How often would you say you got it on average? No, I ain't got an agenda. I'm a journalist, you see. I was wondering if I could interview you about. That's a nightmare.
Buy a drink.
If you're listening to this and you are not having sex in a marriage, then
yeah, it has to be within a marriage if you're single.
yeah, or a full-time relationship. I don't need to see marital documentation.
Yeah.
The key thing is you will be anonymous. So I will not name you in the article if you don't want me to. There's no problem there. So that's just, I don't usually use this podcast for that kind of shout out, but I'm getting a bit desperate. So there you go. And
how can people get in touch with you?
Just email me at the. Can they use the? How would you feel about them just emailing using the Top Flight Time Machine thing?
That's fine. I'll look away when
just
the emails
Andy
come
will
in.
look. Don't worry about that. Just email me, and then I'll email you back. The other means of contacting me, or we'll talk over Zoom.
topflighttimemachine@gmail.com.
Yeah, and I don't want to say. Hopefully, if you listen to this regularly, I am not a sex pervert. But if you're a woman, it is even better. I know that sounds awful, doesn't it? But that's why I'm saying it publicly. Even Andy would police me anyway. He'd know if I was up to no good, and he would shut it down.
Rein him in.
Yeah, but I'm not up to no good. I just need to get this article done. So that's that unsightly business over with. If you're listening for free, that's it for now. If you want to listen to the full extended version, then head over to Patreon.
Yep, thank you very much for listening, and that's that.
That's that.